Welcome to WWDMD, a podcast that pulls back the curtain on what clinicians really think and feel as they work with others. I'm Dr. Meyers, a psychotherapist in New York City, and each week I sit down with clinicians to explore the emotional realities, challenges, and personal experiences that shape the work we do. My hope is that with every episode, you'll learn something not only about this profession, but about yourself. Please note that any case details discussed have been modified to protect client privacy.
What would Dr. Meyers do?
Hey everyone. As many of you know, I've been doing a series on sibling abuse, an experience that is far more common than many people realize, yet one that remains profoundly misunderstood and often minimized. We still too often hear survivors are told that that's just what siblings do, when in reality, it's sibling abuse, then sibling abuse can have a lasting and deep impact. So today, I'm really excited to have Heidi Kirby with me. She's author of My Sister's Secret Keeper. And what makes Heidi's book so powerful is that she gives voice to an experience that many people struggle to put into words. And I think Heidi found me through this podcast. So I'm thrilled that we are, in fact, building community and that it's a place where folks are embracing their own voice. So, Heidi, I just want to tell you that I really enjoyed your book as much as you can enjoy a book about trauma. But
Yes.
I just want to say that I appreciate it, well, for many reasons, but two really stick out to me. One is that you write with honesty and courage about family secrets and about the complicated dynamics that can exist within families and what it means to carry painful experiences while also trying to protect others and make sense of your own story. And the second reason is because you write about more than trauma. Your story is about resilience, it's about healing, and finding your voice after years of silence.
Thank
So,
you.
welcome and thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to be
Oh,
here.
good. Good. In conversation, I know about this topic and about your experience, which I'm assuming might be a little difficult to have started this process with, right? Maybe you could actually take me through that process because I guess I'm thinking how, some folks never identify their experience as abuse until something they hear or see out there gives them validation to say, wait, that's what happened to me. But then to move forward with that and to say, I'm going to show you my experience. I'm going to share your experience and all my vulnerability. I'm going to toss it over to you.
That is really interesting process because when the idea of sibling abuse, as I write in my book, was first presented, I was like, I think 26, 27 years old. And I was really depressed. And literally, that was back in the day when you went to the yellow pages to find something. And I literally, one night in my apartment, went, I need a therapist. I need to talk to somebody. I am so unhappy. And I went into yellow pages and I might have gone under, I don't know, but I found this place and it was called Positive Horizons. And I was like, oh, that's
Oh, it's a very inviting name,
it's a
right?
great name. So I made an appointment and I sat down, and this lady was just so present and kind. And she said, so tell me about blah, blah, blah. And I don't know where it came from, but I started talking about my sister and growing up and what she did to me. And she went, whoa, whoa. She goes, that's called sibling abuse. Now, this was in the 80s
Wow.
before it had ever been identified. And
Right.
this therapist, she knew about it because she had been through it with her sister.
Mm, mm,
And it was like, I have found home. Like, I really felt like this person knew me
yeah.
and I was seen. And, but it was so still for me, there was a big cloud of secrecy, shame. And back then, they really, therapy explored more the family dynamic, like what was going on in your family.
Right.
And, and then I went into family therapy and group therapy, and and I learned like how to identify my feelings, and it grew and all that. But the secrecy around the trauma of sibling abuse was still kind of down there.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't talked about. It wasn't out in the open. No statutes that say this is something that actually is real and exists. And as you're saying, I mean, thank goodness for your astute therapist,
Yes.
because I believe it was Vernon Wahey who, in the very turn of the 90s, really put this on the map. He wrote the first book, Sibling Abuse Hurts? No, I forget the title of it now. I should know because I've read it quite a few times. But so to have this like a whole decade earlier identified for you is pretty amazing. And I'm glad you had that experience, but it makes sense that before that it was like, no, what is happening here? And, is this normal?
And I really felt for most of my life, up until probably I wrote the book, if I was just a better sister,
Mm,
this wouldn't happen to me.
mm. Well, tell me about that gap, because if you discovered this as abusive, right, this relationship as abusive back in the 80s, and you just wrote the book now, right? What was it that you were living with in that time to think that you had done something to create this?
Well, I went on the path to prove that I was a good sister, but also in doing that, my sister was 8 years older than I am, was. And in doing that, I was also trying to set boundaries. So
Hmm.
my therapist at the time, I had given my sister money to get a divorce. And she said, "What? Whoa, 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 whoa. Why are you giving your sister money to get a divorce?" And I said, "Well, I want to be a good sister,
Hmm.
and poor, it was kind of poor her, my
Hmm.
sister. Um, and so she said, "I think it's time you ask her to start paying you back." Whoa. I was like,
That must have
okay.
been terrifying.
It was terrifying, but I was like, I'm going to do this.
Hmm.
So I called her and I said, "I think it's time we get on a payment plan. I'm in therapy and I just feel like, it's time. You get more money in child support and alimony than I make."
Hmm.
And she's like, "Well, you just seem mad. You're just mad." And okay, fine. Well, she wrote me a check and she didn't speak to me for 7 years.
Mm.
And during that time, I had gotten married, I had had a child, I had a career, and life just kind of unfolded. And then I got a divorce, and then I was a single parent, and then I got remarried, and life just kind of happens. And when my sister's oldest daughter got graduated from high school, it was like, you need to go. Like the family expectation. And my niece and I had been very close, and she wanted me to come. Good sister. I want to be a good
Yes.
sister. I went.
Yes.
And then that happened for years. And it was on again, off again. And how you understand life backwards. It's like anytime I would put my needs, my wants, my requests out there, no, didn't like that. It was all about her.
Hmm.
So um, I think the last time I said, "No, you can't come on this day to my house. You have to come on this day." She didn't speak to me. And then a year and a half later, she died.
Oh my goodness.
And that was a whole nother trauma, right?
Yes.
like, oh, I'm in this. So I did therapy again, you know, and it was like, you got to let yourself off the hook.
Well, because you'll never be the good enough sister.
No,
Right? No
you're
matter
not.
how hard you pedal, how fast you pedal, you'll
Oh,
never be. Um, and it sounds like your therapist helped you to come to that realization and to choose you first, right? Because you have to do what is going to serve you because no one else is doing that. It was certainly not her, right?
no.
She's not looking out for your needs. So if you don't look out for your needs, who is? But I believe that your desire to do that, to be the good sister, is because one, we all desire to have a strong sibling bond. Who doesn't want that?
Mm-hmm.
And also, the person who's abused, often also we see this with parent children, parent child abuse, you still love your abuser in some way, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
they're your family. This is what the ideal is supposed to be. And who doesn't strive for that, need an approval from, your parents, let alone your most trusted peer. And so you're constantly striving, right, to get in good graces with that person. And if they see you as a good person, then maybe you could see you as a good
Right.
person because our perception of ourselves, right, survivors of abuse, is very wrapped up into how the abuser perceives us.
Right. Exactly. And it was my therapist. It's interesting. You used the analogy pedal. And
Hmm.
I had said to him, I said, I feel like I'm always on a bicycle pedaling as fast as I can.
Wow.
And I finally crashed.
Uh-huh.
And he said to me, he goes, Heidi, you're enough. You're enough.
Mm.
Just the way you are. And that was pivotal.
Mm-hmm.
Like I heard him, I
Mm-hmm.
believed him,
Mm-hmm.
and it was right after that that I went into this workshop and I heard what I say in the book. It was the Holy Spirit. You can call it universe, divine intervention, saying you need to write a book about this.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I am not a writer, not at all.
If sibling abuse is part of your story or your work, I offer workshops designed to support healing, understanding, and education around these experiences.
I my degree's in computer science. I'm a numbers person. I failed English. You know, I was
Wow.
in college. See me rewrite. You know,
Really? Well, you
yes,
turned it out. Wow.
thank you. And I just was like terrified
Uh-huh.
but I knew, and really, your podcast really helped me, like lay out, oh, the foundation. Uh, the story,
Uh-huh.
the family,
Right.
all those pieces, because they're all
Right.
pieces of the puzzle
Yes.
but I didn't want my story to be a victim story.
It doesn't come across that way at
Thank
all.
you.
And that's an interesting thing because I carry that too. Like the idea of even like referencing myself as a survivor of
Yeah.
sibling abuse, it doesn't feel right. I'm not sure how to reference myself, but I think, and tell me if this resonates with you, right, about that piece that felt difficult, is that for me, I don't want that to be my identity.
No.
But I don't know if there's more to it for folks. Like, so was there anything else wrapped up in there for you?
Um, I just wanted to give hope that you can heal,
Mm-hmm.
that this doesn't define you.
Mm-hmm.
And I do see and I'm not to minimize anybody's trauma,
Mm-hmm.
but because it's not easy. It's
Mm-hmm.
not easy work. It's
Mm-hmm.
hard work and it takes time. I mean, I'm still working at it and I'm going to be 70.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a journey.
Yeah.
And I think that 26-year-old self, I was like, check the box.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I went to therapy for sibling abuse. I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then life kind of happened, and I was so hyper vigilant in raising my children
Mm-hmm.
about there was like, I had no, my oldest son never babysat my girls. There
Mm-hmm.
was none of that happening.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it was almost a little kind of uptight, kind of high
Yeah.
strung.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Because you
and
didn't want this to happen to
no,
between them or amongst them. Yeah.
no, and it didn't.
Uh-huh.
Um, Praise God. Um, Not that they don't have their issues, because all siblings have issues. Um,
Yeah, but there's something you did actively, I am sure, to
yes.
ensure that it didn't happen. It didn't just
Oh,
not happen.
no, no. I was like, you keep your hands to yourself. I never wanted them to, I'm sure my sister felt a terrible burden to take care of me.
Uh-huh.
I mean, she was oldest. My parents did not have a lot of money.
Uh-huh.
They were very social. So
Uh-huh.
she was the babysitter, you know, um, and I just didn't want that. And sometimes my husband and I didn't even go out. I didn't even know if I trusted a babysitter. Um, I just wanted them to feel safe.
Yeah, of course.
Um, Not that they don't have their sibling arguments or disagreements,
Well,
even
that's
in
normative. I mean, who
right.
doesn't, right? Living under the same roof or in any partnership or relationship, there's going to be conflict, right? But it doesn't have to
Yes.
look like abuse. And speaking of such, I just want to go back to what you said about it doesn't define you. I believe it does. But I think what we're in agreement about is that it doesn't have to. And that's the part that you're talking about. It takes work, right? Because as a kid, you had no choice. You had no
No.
choice. And this is a very powerful voice and influence over you, right? Your sibling that we take in and make that voice our own. And we believe everything that we're told or made to
Mhm.
feel, right? But as an adult, you have a choice and you can take agency, right, over who you are, but that doesn't mean, the feelings inside of you that have become so familiar and the voices in your head about who you are, right, don't have to really be reframed. And it takes more than just, tell yourself you're great, tell yourself how
Yes.
special you are, right? And I think so on that we're in agreement, but it's just like this is defining. This is so
Oh,
powerful, right?
it 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 defined every part of my being, every decision I made in my life,
Mm-hmm.
good or bad. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, um, and I write about it in the book,
Yeah, you do.
and 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 just like I remember just making promises. If I ever survive this, I will do better.
Oh, oh.
I will, I promise. And I can see myself, I feel it even now talking, sitting on these stairs in our house, just telling God, if I make it out of here, I promise I'll do better.
Right, but define for all of us, right? What does do better mean? Because obviously you didn't incite this to happen, right? That's what victimhood is. You didn't
Right.
incite this, but we're constantly trying to figure out to gain some control over
Cool.
it that if I understand what I'm doing to set this person off, then I can make things better, right? Or then so like that's the internalized I'm to blame. I must have done something to make somebody treat me this way. And this is in all kinds of violence. This is domestic violence as well, right? Intimate partner violence. Um, it's interesting because I think you said in the book specifically that there was confusion about whether the behavior is normal. There was guilt for, I put this in quotes because this is what you said, allowing it
Yes.
and fear of speaking out, but allowing it, right? That's the big struggle. What did you allow?
Yeah.
You had no choice.
No. And sometimes, like I always knew when it was coming, I always knew.
Oh, you did. How did you
Um,
know? What were the signs?
well, my parents were out. It
Mm-hmm.
never happened when my parents were home.
Mm-hmm.
And it was always around bedtime,
Mm-hmm.
and she would start. And there were times I remember, like as I got older, I'm like, I'm just going to pick a fight right now and get this over with because I know what's coming.
Wow.
It was always the same. And then it would be over.
Mm-hmm.
And then once again, like you said, I felt like I had some control over it.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I started it, it would end. And it always was the same. I was always getting drugged by my hair, getting my hair pulled out of my head, and I was always getting dunked underwater. Always.
So
It
awful.
never, no, it was awful.
Awful. I said so awful.
It was,
So awful.
um, but like I write about in the book, I taught myself how to swim. My mother was at the swimming pool with me and she thought I was drowning. And I was teaching myself how to float and hold my breath when I was 4.
Wow. Wow.
And she's like, I better get this kid in swim lessons. Like, I mean, both my parents are no longer with me. I never talked to them about it. I don't know if they knew, but I became a great swimmer. Like,
Well, this is,
who
yeah, go ahead. No, sorry.
who would have thought? Like, I could have developed a great fear of water
Yeah, you could have, of course. Of course. Well, where was the drowning happening?
in the bathtub
Oh.
and in the toilet.
Oh, she'd put your head in the water?
Yeah.
Sister's head? Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah.
Now, let me just clarify something because I must have misunderstood. In the book, I didn't know that it only happened when your parents weren't around because of the description that you gave about your parents' response to it. So, your mother, the theme there was ignore her, right? Or she would never turn around when something happened. And your father would say, get thicker skin, right? And even during, you identified a critical incident where I thought that he was there because your sister smashed the phone against your
That was my
head.
mom. Yeah, um that's true. I'm that was one time I had just gotten phone privileges. Back in the day, you had one
Yeah,
phone
yeah.
and you had to be off at a certain time and you could only and I had just gotten phone privileges and my mom was in the kitchen and they had to listen to your conversation. Nothing was private.
Right.
And she came storming in and smashed the phone over my head. And my mother
Oof.
just was like, I think she just felt very helpless with my sister. My sister was also very abusive to my mother.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think I wrote about that in the book a bit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, but as far as the ritualistic abuse of the dunking of the head underwater, the hair pulling, all that only happened when my parents were gone.
Mm-hmm.
Her meanness
Yeah.
or picking on me or my brother. Oh, my dad would always say, "You're thin-skinned, Heidi. You need to get toughen up." To this day, my family thinks I'm really thin-skinned,
Well,
because I'm a crier.
yeah.
I'm just a crier. When I'm
Yeah.
happy, I cry. When I'm sad, I cry.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like it was meanness.
Yeah, that's pretty mean. Yeah.
Like it was
Yeah.
mean.
But it's also mean to say get thicker skin, you
Oh,
know?
100%.
Yes.
It was,
Yes.
it's that family that wants everything okay.
Uh-huh.
I don't want my dad didn't want to deal with anything. They didn't want to rock my mother didn't want to rock her boat. My sister was very explosive. She
Uh-huh.
carried, I think, all our rage,
Mm-hmm.
and it just was unbelievable. My brother and I just had a conversation first time in our life this past March about it.
Oh, what
We
came of that?
It was so powerful, and we have never spoken about it. My brother's 6 years older than I am, and
And
I
your
wrote,
sister was 8 years older than you.
yeah, so
Yes.
they were 2 years apart.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of like that only child, if you look at the birth order, because people would say, you're not like a baby.
Mm-hmm.
Because I carried a lot of responsibility and still do for the family.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wrote the book. I wouldn't have written the book if my brother didn't give me the okay.
Mm-hmm.
It was important to me that he say, yes, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And he read the book. I went out and visited him. He took me out. We both sobbed.
Mm. Did he have the same memories that you did?
He's the one who shared with me. He had no idea how bad it was for me, and that really just impacted him like as a brother.
Uh-huh.
I wish I could have done more,
Yeah.
right? He
Yeah.
carries
Yeah.
that. He's the one who told me about, I remember her dunking your head in the toilet. And when I wrote the book, I didn't remember that. But when he said that, it came right back to
Wow. You
me.
didn't remember him being present, you mean? If
I didn't even remember that incident till he
Oh,
said it.
oh, okay.
I don't know if you see this, Amy, but there were so many incidences
Yes.
that I couldn't write about them all.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah.
enough already. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't, there were so many times
Mm-hmm.
things happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me, I mean, it was all terrifying. Um, that was her goal, to terrify me. And I didn't want to just keep writing. I wanted to give it a cohesive, this is what, to me, the water abuse was the most traumatic for
Mm-hmm.
me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I felt like I was going to die. Like I really did. I mean, I learned I would have contests in my swim lessons, and I was always the one who could hold their breath the longest.
Mm. Mm.
Like I learned at a very young age.
Yeah, with survival instinct, right? What do I have to do here? Yes.
Yes,
Wow.
yeah.
And
So
unfortunately, that didn't protect you really,
no,
because there were other ways that she knew how to harm you. And, the words hurt just as much as, I mean, the words can't lead to death, but they are impactful and wounding and deep. So yeah, but you tried your best to hold on, right?
uh,
To learn how to defend yourself against her.
yes. I mean, that was, I don't know where that comes from. Is that just part of your spirit, your person, your DNA that I knew I wanted to get out of this someday
Right.
and that I would do better?
It's survival instinct. It is
Yeah.
survival instinct and hope, thank God, right? Hope that you had that you could get out of this or that things could be different
Yes.
somewhere and that you wanted to hold on. Um, what I'm really curious too is now that your parents are gone and you don't have the ability, and you say you don't know, right? You don't have the answers to many things, I'm sure what it's like not being able to ask them about this and their feelings about it and their perspective on it and so much.
I There were times I would broach, she's difficult. I mean, there were times she didn't speak to them, you know, she didn't speak to my brother, she didn't speak to me, she didn't speak to this cousin. It was very, and I remember my mom passed when I was young, in my 30s. So my mom did not live a very long life, but my dad did. And I remember one time he was talking with me, and I said, Dad, she was just difficult. She was hard to get along with, she was hard to please. And that's all I got to say about it right now. I just didn't ever feel the need to share with them what happened. And I don't know where that came from. I really just, I kind of figured I wouldn't get my needs met.
Mm, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They didn't have the skills. Like
Mm-hmm.
you talk about that. Like
Mm-hmm.
they just didn't have the skills. My mother probably, her sister's 10 years older than her, and they had a very tumultuous. So, you know, they had their own pain, their own trauma.
I think that that's such an important part of the healing is to come to that conclusion. I don't know if you feel the same way, but
Yes.
right, to know that your parents have limitations, that they did what they could. It wasn't good enough. It wasn't protective, but it's what they had. And
Yes.
so they were, resource hungry, right? Internal and probably external.
And
And
I was also able to see their goodness,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
good, good.
and I think at a young age when all this is going on, for I was always looking outward at others to see how other people interacted,
Uh-huh.
finding people who were loving,
Uh-huh.
who were kind. My mother had a tremendous support group of friends, like friendship. You know, my dad was a hard worker. He was a hard worker, worked hard. Like some of those skills I admired.
Mm-hmm.
Now, were they great parents? But not really. You know, like there was a lot of chaos going on in our home,
Mm-hmm.
and it happened a lot.
Mm-hmm. Well, it wouldn't be a solid home if this happened, if this was
Right.
prevalent, right? So obviously, I often say that this is a symptom of the entire family dynamic and the family structure and the family system, right? This is not a
Yes.
flaw in you and even in your sister, although I do think that sibling abuse can occur when a child has a certain diagnosis or has, certain issues, a mental illness, substance abuse, whatever that is beyond the family's control, right? Like kind of a biological predisposition to volatile behavior. But most of the time, this is coming from a faulty family system. So it's not surprising to hear, right? You say that. But again, I'm so glad that you came to a place where you understand that, right? Because otherwise, what do? We internalize the experience and say, oh, if I could have been better, if I could have done something
Right.
different, right? Then this wouldn't have happened. As though it's still like registers as something that's could have been in your control. If only
Right.
I had dot dot dot. No,
No.
oh no. If only you had parents who were more able to handle it. If only your sister got treatment, or if only there's a lot of other if onlys, right?
Yes. And there was a time my brother and I were sent away to
Mm-hmm.
visit a family, and they were taking her to see a psychiatrist.
Oh.
And I think my brother and I talked about it this past time. He said, do you think maybe there was something biochemically?
Mm-hmm.
You know, she had that accident when she was younger. She fractured her skull. She almost died. Like, did something get kind of altered?
Mm-hmm.
That back then there wasn't the mental health that we have
Right.
today.
Right.
And so my parents were aware something wasn't right, but it just never got control of it ever.
Okay.
They didn't have the wherewithal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
You sound forgiving of them, and I'm going to come back to this idea of forgiveness, but I just want to, if we can, talk a bit about her death. So Emma died when she was how old and you were how old?
she was 57
Uh-huh.
and I was 49.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Well,
it
that's almost
was,
2 decades ago.
yeah,
More than 2 decades
it's
ago.
gonna
Yeah.
be this year, it's gonna be 2 decades.
Okay.
2027, it'll be 2 decades.
And she died of what?
Brain aneurysm.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So she died before there was any resolution.
Yes.
She never took responsibility,
No,
right? And but that means that you confronted her?
no,
No, but she just never came to you and said, "This happened. I'm sorry we don't have a better relationship," or "I acknowledge how I treated you." None of that.
no.
Right. Do you ever wonder if there could have been um somehow a resolution if she were still alive?
I don't believe so because she was always the victim.
Mm, mm-hmm. Say more.
Um, she, was always poor, blah, blah, blah. Wasn't my fault. She did a lot of therapy throughout her life too. She had a type. She was married 3 times. She married highly abusive men that cheated.
Mm-hmm.
rinse and repeat,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but it was always not her fault.
Yeah.
You know, she struggled with anorexia.
Mm-hmm.
Her therapist wanted her to go into treatment. She fired her therapist. You know, like not very open, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If
Not
I were
self-aware, not
not
willing to look at herself
so
and what am I doing to create this
listen,
unhappiness or these difficult challenges I'm facing?
right.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
always poor me. You
Yes.
look at you, you have such a better life than I do. And then I would feel bad. Like, well, how did I get this? Why am I so lucky? That was another thing I told myself. Why am I so lucky?
Right.
No, there's reasons. Like I've
Mhm.
had to learn there are reasons. I
Again, it's
mean,
not luck.
no, it's hard work
Yes.
and it's different choice making.
Yes. Yeah.
And and um we're just different personalities.
Yeah.
I always vowed to be kinder to my parents. My brother and I had this conversation. He said she taught us to be nicer.
Isn't that interesting? She taught you to be nicer through her cruelty.
Yeah. And
Mm.
I just never wanted to put my parents through.
Mm.
And not to say I didn't go toe to toe with
Right.
both my mom and dad through the
Right.
years,
Right.
but we always were able to find some resolution.
Mm-hmm.
There was never any resolution with my sister. It was her way or the highway. I
Mm-hmm.
want to come to your house on Saturday, and if you don't let me, I won't speak to you.
Oof. So it's very conditional love. I mean, if
Very.
you could call it love, right? But often it would be imbued with a threat,
And
right?
she wouldn't talk to
Oh, it
me.
wasn't just a threat, right? She would carry it out. She
And,
would carry it out. But so basically, it's the messaging is if you take care of your needs, you're going to lose me,
yes,
right? So to
exactly.
maintain a connection, you better acquiesce to her.
Right. And then
And
she
then, oh, go ahead.
and then she died.
And then she died.
And there
Right.
was, and I felt regret. I felt bad. And it really wasn't until probably 5, 6 years ago where I was like, wait a minute, let yourself off the hook. That
Hmm.
forgiveness piece, I
Yes.
I had to forgive myself.
If you're enjoying the honest conversations on this show, check out my new blog, Between Practice and Purpose, at BPP3, the number 3, voices.com. It's a shared space I created with two former students where we explore the mess, meaning, and vulnerability of life in this helping profession. If this podcast resonates with you, I think the blog will too. So say more about that because I was going to come back to this idea of forgiveness. Most of folks, I think, most of us out there think that in order to forgive, you need an apology, right? So tell me what it means to you to forgive and how that has served you.
It's a process. Forgiveness is not a one-time event. And I what I realized is I had to forgive me for not I couldn't have been better. This was happening. She was an angry child, and I was the fall guy for it. It wasn't my fault. And no matter what I did in my life, if I gave her money, if I was kind, if I was a great aunt to her children and did whatever she wanted, I gave her daughter all my Barbies, my teddy bear, my everything it was an empty well. It was never good enough.
Hmm.
And so I don't know if I can actually say I forgive her. But it doesn't consume me. And I'm not angry like I used to be angry. So I've kind of let that go. Like every time I go home to where we grew up, I go by the house where the abuse happened and I look up in my bedroom window And the last time I was there, I went around the corner and there were all these families in our backyard with babies and they all looked happy. And I was like, this is peaceful. There's a new journey going on here. My
Mm,
journey is over.
mm,
And I didn't need her to give me anything.
right.
I had to give it to me.
Right. Right. Wow, that's so deep. And good for you. And I'm glad you had that experience. And because part of what it entails is to stop looking for that person to accept you or validate you or give you your identity or confirm who you are. You're giving that to yourself. And at first, when you're speaking, I was thinking, well, maybe you are forgiving her. You're in the process of it, but I'm reconsidering, which is this, because you said you were, you're struggling to understand why this may have occurred, right? And in that, I think you're trying to also still heal from it's not me, it's not me, it's not me. She had
Hmm.
this skull fracture, and maybe that was it. And at first, so I was thinking, okay, well, is there forgiveness in that? If you understand where she came from, right, in doing this, maybe that lets her off the hook a little bit, and she's not just this evil person, but
Oh,
she was somebody who was problemed, right?
yes.
And on the other hand, I'm thinking, you know what? Sometimes it's important. A lot of times, I mean, that's what therapy I see it as about, is like understanding why things are the way they are. Why am I the way I am? Where did it come from? How did it develop? Right? And trying to develop that awareness. Understanding doesn't mean letting somebody off the hook, but it just helps to reframe.
Hmm.
Right? And maybe as you're saying, let yourself off the hook so that you forgive yourself. You said something very powerful that healing and moving forward are not possible without forgiveness. And that's different than reconciliation.
Yes. 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 And I think people think forgiveness is, oh, like this person, I'm fine with this person. Like, I'm not sure if my sister was alive today that I'd want to have a relationship with her. I, I just don't think that's possible. If that I would want that.
That's
And that's
fair.
okay.
That is more than okay.
Um,
Absolutely.
I wouldn't want to wish her any harm, even when she wasn't speaking to me. Like, have a good life. But sometimes, people who hurt you and inflict a lot of pain on you, they're not sitting back going, oh, I feel so bad about that. Like, no, they were being cruel. They were cruel. It was cruel. It was hurtful. I was, I was like, it started probably when I was 4. She was torturing me about people coming to get me in the middle of the night when I was like 2.
Mm,
It started very young
mm,
and it went on until she got married, you
wow.
know. So
Yeah,
it was
years.
years,
A lifetime. A
it,
lifetime.
a lifetime.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if I can say I forgive her, but she doesn't have the power over me she used to. And I have to say, writing this book gave me the freedom that I never could imagine.
What kind
For
of freedom? Yeah.
the like I've lived a lot of my life with a lot of shame. Like I describe shame as like this cloak. You kind of feel it just layered on your skin a little bit. And like I wouldn't do something because I might feel that shame or it's scary. Oh, I'm afraid to do that. I wrote the book, Amy. I've written and published the book. I'm speaking on podcasts. I had a book launch party. I got my real estate license. I'm selling real estate and I'm 68 years old. That's,
Bravo.
you know,
Yes. Bravo.
but thank you. But had I not written that book,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have done those things. I would have been too afraid. And just even talking about, like, when I started telling people, my best friends didn't know. I never talked about it. And the response I've gotten of kindness, compassion, Heidi, I never knew, you never talked about it. Love, you're so brave. I'm so proud of you. That's not shame. That's celebratory.
Right. Right.
And so by doing this, I'm releasing that layer
Yeah.
of fear and shame
Right.
that's left over from the
Right.
trauma. It's
Mhm.
left over.
So when you say it takes work, boy, has it taken work. You've gone from like the 1980s, you're saying when your therapist first validated this, to saying that this stuff, a lot of this of the letting goes, right? Letting go of shame, taking back control, letting go of your sister's narrative of you, that some of this came from writing the book, which just
Yes.
happened now at age
Right.
68, that we are all works in progress.
Right.
And I'm sure that there was a, healing journey going on before you were even on it, before you even got on the train. But
Right.
once you got on, you have been like increasingly feeling better and healing. And I'm so glad that this book brought you, another layer of
Thank
that
you.
because you talk in the book about like what contributed to your healing. You talk about therapy, you talk about faith, and you talk about taking control of your narrative. And that's
Right.
exactly, I mean, when you write a book, you can't take control of your narrative any more than that, right? But telling your story and now on
Right.
podcasts and still, and I think, this is like what happens in therapy. It's like, oh, but I already talked about this. Doesn't matter. Keep, again, what do you got to say?
Right.
Each time you tell it, something new comes to light, right? A new revelation, a new emotional experience, something that you can build on and work through and build on, or whatever it looks like, until you get to this place, slowly but surely of really like embracing who you are and coming to value, as you say, yourself, right?
Yeah. Like I tell everybody now, it's never too late and you're never too old. Because I used to say, "Oh, you're too old to write a book. It's too late for you." Like, no, the journey is the journey. As long as you're waking up and you're breathing, there's hope
Yeah.
and you can heal.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel about it. I just really, um, and trust me, I am not a writer, but as my editor said, yeah, you are.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, you
stop
are.
telling yourself you're not a
Yeah.
writer.
It's a it's a it's a very good read. It's an easy
Thank you.
read, which
Yeah.
here it oops, sorry. Just hit the microphone. My Sister's Secret Keeper.
Oh, thank
It
you.
is well, first of all, it's not that long. It's got reflective questions at the end of chapters that will make you think about things in new ways. It's just digestible. And I will say that as I read your book, I heard myself in you. Everything you described, every part of your experience.
Mm,
And I suppose that's what you're hoping, for by sharing
yes,
yourself in this way, that others will see themselves in your experience and I'm going to say dot, dot, dot. What? Finish the sentence. What else? What do you hope for?
heal.
Healing.
Healing, freedom, peace, joy, release. Like, I think just for so long, we hang on to that like piece of trauma as a badge. And not to say it's not because you survived, but it shouldn't be a coat of armor,
Mm,
right? You should be free in the world and just be. You're enough. You're enough.
you're enough. Heidi, those are words to
Mm,
live by. Thank you so much for sharing your
well,
story in book
thank
form
you.
and on the podcast in bits and pieces. Folks can find your book on Amazon.
Yes.
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 Look forward to reading it. Highly
Yes.
recommend it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, no,
This has been
thank you for being
awesome,
here.
Amy. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for listening. If this episode resonated with you, please leave a rating, review, or share it with someone who might need it. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next conversation. If there's a topic or question you'd like covered on the show, email me at drmeyerspod@gmail.com.
I've got some problems, yeah, I've got some questions. I need some help, point me in any direction. Clinical guidance is what I need to help me become who I'm meant to be. I've been searching for a teacher, another point of view. And I've been asking myself, what would Dr. Meyers do?